Hi, so I wanted to demonstrate a mind mapping technique for putting together a risk register. I'm personally really into outlines, but a lot of people do very, very well with this sort of technique. So the tool I'm using here is something called Mindmeister. It is free to start, and then you pay for it later as you really get good with the tool. I prefer doing this using pen and paper, but what's nice about doing this online is that if you don't have erasable pens or you need to share this with other people remotely, this is a really good tool for doing that. I'm not going to teach you how to use MindMeister. It's a pretty straightforward tool. So what I'm going to start with is kind of moving things around. So we're going to start with I. This is we, it. So this is others. There's me. There's our systems, processes, tools, that sort of thing. So when I think of risks, I think in two areas. One is all the things that can go wrong, because I'm a natural disasterizer. But two is the things that can go right or opportunities that can present themselves. And like with our project, we want to think about this in terms of the different components. So again, we're defining I as the impact of the change on me, or the things that I need to do. We and it, the impact of the change on others, or what we're hoping for from others. And it's, which is our tools, materials, and processes. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit tab. And what I'm going to do in the risk register, tools, costs, processes, is I'm going to go ahead and put each of those categories with those items. Now, in the I section, I'm thinking in terms of time, personal energy, behaviors, like what behaviors I'll need to demonstrate. Motivation, I'll even call that my why. And move that around real quick. I want that there. I want that there. I want that there. And also the resources, actually skills. So come here. Skills. In the we and it area, this is where a lot of things might go astray. But things that I think about when I think about others, I'm thinking about their behaviors that I would need them to demonstrate, and any reinforcements that I need to do to continue to encourage that behavior. I think in terms of any agreements and boundaries that I need to set. I think in terms of any resources others may control that I might need to negotiate access to. Other things that I might need to consider as well are the whether or not they're available. So like if I need help because someone else has a skill, and then that person's reliability. Do they have a habit of doing what they say they're going to do? I find in most corporate projects, this is probably the biggest risk area. The resource isn't available, or the resource is available, but they don't do what they say they're going to do in the time that they're going to do it. That's actually really key in the we and it area. There are a couple others, but this is just to get started, because I really want to demonstrate how we use this as a risk register. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the I, and I'm going to take a look at this time component. So when I'm thinking about starting a diet to lower cholesterol, well, what are some of the time constraints that I need to consider? Well, it's the time to make the meals. It's time to plan the meals, because this is a new habit for me. Time to do research on what this entails. So what are the risks on my time? Well, work is a big risk, whether my work time is going to be higher or lower, because I find that when I'm working a lot more, I'm a lot less inclined to actually think about what I'm eating. I don't know if you do this, but that's a personal risk. Any other groups outside of work. So if you've got obligations with the PTA, if you're working with a church group, I'm in Toastmasters, that takes time and has its own dietary, and it's a dinner club, so it's got its own dietary risks as well. Let's see if I can move this. There we go. Another one could be if you've got kids. Now, I don't personally have children, but I know that a lot of children are involved in sports. So if you're driving your kids around to things like Little League Baseball or football, you've got the time to drive them there. You've got the time for the games. You've got the time for if they make the playoffs, that's a whole nother kettle of fish as well. Again, that's going to be something that impacts the diet. And as you brainstorm, you might come up with more categories. I'm going to drill into work a little bit. So what are some of the things at work that might impact the time that I have for dealing with my diet and lowering cholesterol? Well, I get assigned to a new project on top of the project I'm already on. Let's say the project I'm on misses its date, so it misses its target go live date. That in and of itself has its own hazards, and oftentimes you're doing crunch time, you miss the date, and then you're still on crunch. That tends to have a dramatic impact on the time that you have to do things like make dinner. Also, typically when you're doing crunch, I've found that a lot of project managers will bring food in for the project team, so you kind of need to get on top of that as well. Let's say that you also have the risk of taking on new responsibilities. Okay. So there's a couple of things in these risks, and you can brainstorm this even further. So the next thing that we look at is what the probability of that risk is and the impact of that risk. And you'll notice that these are often seen as negative. Well, what if there's a positive risk? So there's a second thing called opportunities that we also want to take a look at. So let's say a possibility is the project I'm on gets canceled and I have spare time. That's awesome. That's actually an opportunity. So as part of those risks, we also want to take a look at potential opportunities of things that are going to help us do this. Let's see if I can move this down a little further. Okay, so we've got our risks and we've got our opportunities. And again, I strongly encourage you to brainstorm opportunities as well as all the things that can go wrong. Maybe I'll even put a smiley face on that one. So the next thing that we want to do is take a look at probability and impact. And there's any number of ways that you can take a look at that. For our purposes, we want to keep it simple. When we look at probability, it's like, well, how possible is this going to be? So and we can code it. Let's say that, and here we've got little smileys. Let's say that I'm using, we'll use these numbers. So I'm going to say that 1 is high probability, 2 is medium probability, and 3 is low probability. So let's say project missing date. I've been on that project. It looks like it's not going to be terribly, oops. Delete. Excuse me. Okay. So what I would like to do is I'm going to try to see if I can't. Nope. Okay. So let's say that's a high probability that that's going to happen. Project canceled, that's a medium probability that that's going to happen. Taking on new responsibilities, boy, not if I can help it. Let's say I'm really slammed. I'm assigned a new project. Also a fairly low probability right now because we've been grinding on this project. Okay, the next thing that we want to take a look at is the impact on our change initiative if one of these things happen. And again, we're going to use high, medium, low. And in this case, I'm going to use these little flags. So if the project misses the date, that's going to have a really high impact on whether or not I have the time to really address this, because typically I found that when a project misses a date, that grind just winds up being a lot longer. So I'm going to flag red as, yeah, that's a high impact. If the project gets canceled, that's also an impact, but that's a positive impact, so I'll go ahead and put that as green. If I take on new responsibilities, it depends on the responsibility, but so I'll use this orange flag as kind of a medium high. If I'm reassigned a new project, chances are that's going to be a high impact. So when I look at probability and impact, I've got this item here, which is the project missing the date, and if it does, that's going to be a really high impact. I'll concentrate my efforts to do further planning myself on the things that are going to have the highest probability and the highest impact, and I tend to prioritize impact, whether that impact's really high. Those of us who are really comprehensive can focus on all of them, but typically we're looking at the things that are highest impact. The other thing that we want to ask as well is whether or not it's okay if this change or if this risk actually occurs. So let's say the project's canceled. If I'm okay with that risk occurring, I'll just go ahead and mark that. And that's sort of a cue to me that I don't particularly need to worry about it. So let's take a look at further risk management. And I'm going to focus on this one, project misses the date, because that's one where that could have a very large impact. And when we're doing risk management, we're really looking at two things. One is mitigation, and the other is contingency. So risk mitigation is the planning that we do to either reduce or prevent that risk from happening, and or reduce the impact of that risk if it does happen. The contingency is what we're going to do if the risk happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to address both mitigation and then we're going to address contingency. So let's say that this project misses the date. In terms of preventing it happening, the only thing I can really do with this is to make sure that my stuff is on time. Other than that, I don't particularly have control over it. And then I think in this one, I'm going to go ahead and color code it. See what I can do to kind of... So I've color coded that. In terms of reducing the impact, there's a number of things that I can do. One is I can talk to PM and identify so I can talk to the project manager or the or whoever tends to order meals whenever we're in crunch, and figure out what restaurants where we get food, and then find meals within that menu, and then just order that repeatedly. The other thing that I can do as well is pre-prep some fast recipes. So I can brainstorm in terms of ways I can mitigate. And I can color code these mitigation techniques. As well. There we go. So let's say that's a mitigation. I'm going to recolor code my mitigation techniques to green. And I can come up with any number of things. For contingency, so let's say, the project misses the date. I can plan what it is I'm going to do if this happens. I also want to identify what's going to give me the information that, this risk is happening. So let's look at what's going to happen when the risk happens. And I'm going to identify that with like this little information sign here. So I'll know that the project misses the date because I get an email, new project date. I'll probably know beforehand, but that's the formal, yes, the project is going to miss the date. So now that I know what that is, now I can put in my contingency. And so certain contingencies is I order the meals identify is contingency plan 1. I'll just color code that in red. And the other thing that I will do is spend the weekend planning and cooking, whatever free time I have to do that, or if I'm lucky enough to have a supportive partner, they can help me out as well. So this is something that can also go into other. So I've got my mitigation plan so that I'm not derailed on this diet. I have what's going to tell me that this is actually happening, and then I have my contingency plan. So this is a way that you can use mind mapping tools or mind maps to develop a risk and contingency plan. And you can even break this down further if you want to identify people who's going to be impacted by or help you with this.